get everything, we'll get through the safety meeting. I'm going to kind of give you the lay of the land of what's going on with the business. And, I guess you all know Barry, so you know we got him. We're trying to rope him into the trucking business. So early on, had a lot of challenges. Like early on, he seen things black and white. I told him the truck is all in the gray area. I'm never working in the black or the white, so he's getting there now. So kind of, sort of, the last 18 months have been like nothing I've ever been through in my entire life, so it's been a challenge. But I want to thank you guys for hanging in there and weathering this thing. I still believe in America hardcore. We're going to get through it, but there's some serious challenges right now. And I mean, we got supply issues everywhere. And you know, the plants are struggling to keep up with us. They're building houses like I have never seen before. So there's good and bad with that. We went through the 2008 crash. And not to paint a dim picture, but the near future looks fantastic. The far future does not look good. So, you know, we can't maintain what we're doing. But we're in a positive position. I mean, we've been doing really well. We're about the wheels off the truck. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. It's the electronic bulbs are a challenge for me, Tommy. You know, I had trouble. You know, Tommy's been with me for a long time. One of the most frustrating things I've ever had to have in my life. I'd like to stick something dull in my eye. But it's a little different than we ran 20 years ago, huh, Tom? But the long and short of it, we're in a good spot. I mean, Appalachian's good, Wolfpack's good. We have a total of 35 trucks coming that I put on order. Now, we were bringing them in grooves. And they were to start to show up in Q3, which would have been like October and November. And Kenworth called last week. They're not going to be able to build trucks till next May. Wow. So, you know, maintenance is going to be a huge deal for us. We got to keep running. They're having struggles with everything. It's everything from tires to transmissions, the interiors, you name it. Parts are almost impossible to get. It's just crazy. So we feel like we got a really good inventory. We're going to go over some of that today, but it's really, really, really super important now that you dot your I's and cross your T's on your truck. So you want to make sure you're not running something that's, we got to get you in and get you fixed. So it may straighten out. I've seen it like this before. 2010 and 11 was the first year. We turned 20 years old this year. So Wolfpack turns 20 years old this year. And Appalachian actually, as of next February, will be 35 years old. So, you know, and I'm still 35. I feel like not going anywhere. Not going to retire, so it's all good. But these last 18 months have been very, very challenging. I mean, you know, I try to keep my political views and my religious views to myself, but it's difficult these days. So I do a lot of praying. Tell you that. So it's all good. But I want to thank you for all the hard work and hanging in there with us and doing what we got to do every day. It's a really important part of Appalachian and of what we do. There is some expansions going on, so there are some branches that are going to pop up. They're going to pop up a little quicker than what we've talked about. We talked about it for 2 years now. We'll have something in Dallas, Texas. Probably will be a substantial move for us, but there are a few little ones on the map that we're probably going to do pretty quickly if Texas works out for us. So the challenge was, and the reason that things were pushed off was the pandemic. You know, most of you know we lost our facility in Nashville, and that was an all hands on deck. So for everything I've ever been through in my life, I've never seen anything like that. And most of you guys that were there, Charlie works out of the Nashville ranch, but it was a total loss. And by the grace of God, none of you were sleeping there, because if you were, you wasn't here to work out there. Yeah, so, you know, but we actually had to totally rebuild that, and we were okay with it. We were okay, you know, rebuilding the ranch, and the main reason was we were geared up to open the Texas facility. So we were pretty much in motion. So we had the forklifts, we had the trucks, we had the trailers, everything was good with that part of it, but there definitely was a setback, and the timing of it was horrible. And then we went into the pandemic, so the shortages are, you can't shut the United States down and not work and not expect this. I mean, that's just what happens. They stop making stuff, and you got this big lag, and we're very dependent on, most of you know that I'm a hardcore guy. I spend a lot of time and money trying to buy USA if I can. If I try to get it locked in, even if we got to pay a little more. But at the end of the day, I'm trying to support the country. Plants are having labor problems, so they're undermanned, so there's some challenges with keeping the loads loaded. I mean, that's what I do every day. I build, you guys that have been with me a long time, how hard we hit that Jersey plant. We go through that in waves. But they actually, Jersey has a rule that you have to give everybody 10 days sick, regardless of what, with no excuse, and you got to accept it. So the call-offs are outrageous. So, you know, I mean, them guys are burning them 10 days up all the time. So, you know, Jersey's a challenging state for us. I mean, it is, but that plant's real important to me. And then you guys are down south, or we have here, we're running wine and orders super hard. You know, that plant has struggles to do the same thing. Labor, it's mostly labor. One of the things we ran into is we're typically way ahead of the curve on equipment. So I always have the equipment ordered, and I have a strategy as how we're bringing it in and what we're at. But we lost 3 forklifts in Nashville. So we actually had to take 3 of them. We got a little tight, and we had 12 Toyota forklifts ordered, and they should have been here in May. And when it came time for them to go, they postponed it to June, then it got to be July. Toyota forklifts are not approved to be run in the United States because they're not meeting the new green emissions. So they have 60,000 lifts built in the United States that they're sending to Europe. So we're scrambling for forklift right. We're okay. There's fallback plan. We're okay, but we ended up with Nissans, which I was just preaching about the USA. There's no lift made in the United States, so nobody's making a forklift in the United States. So it's unfortunate, but that's life, right? We had something else come up today. There was something that, the motors on the shop door. We brought up the electric door opener on that. Can't get door opener. Can't get a motor. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. So it's going to be super, super important. I keep reiterating, you know, write your trucks up, you know, let Heath know when you're coming through the shop. You want to let them know that if you got something that's remotely wearing out, we want to know about it. We have a pretty good supply, but, you know, that could get difficult as things go on. Anyhow, I mean, that's kind of the lay of land and business. There's enough houses to get us through 2022 easy. I mean, it's going to stay like this easily into the third quarter of 22. That momentum, and this is Bill Bringer's take on life, is coming from the previous administration that ran this country. That momentum's going to run out. It's coming fast. So the inflationary costs are killing us. I mean, it's crazy. Everything we do is up like 30%. Everything. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. I just got the health insurance on last Monday. I got notice our health insurance is going up 17%. We are not passing that on. We're taking that as a company. We're taking that one on the chin. That's coming to me. There's no way I can come to you guys and say you got to pay 20% more. It just ain't going to work. But again, that's the most difficult part of this business. Is just it fries you, it melts you down. I mean, I don't even see how they think you're going to health to the point if you're sick, you're not going to be able to go to the doctor. You know what I mean? It's crazy. So that's just some of the things. Fuel's way up. You know what I mean? So there's some of you that I'm super proud of on fuel mileage. I'm seeing some fuel mileages now that are the best fuel mileages I ever had, and I contribute that between the new engines, we got the spec in place, and the maintenance. I think we got it now. You want me to change it, Tommy? Tommy's by far. He's been my most consistent fuel guy for how long have you worked? 15 years, 17 years. I used to keep put fuel in it. I did. I used to check it out. I was convinced that nobody could stay that consistent that long. The rest of them were smaller too. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from him, but his is very, very consistent. It's difficult to put somebody in his truck after he's been in it a while. You already know where the bar's at. So it's a tough deal. There's a lot of things going on right now have to shut down due to that freaking storm, they didn't make any polygons. And unfortunately, everything else comes from China, and that's just not the situation. So that's kind of where we're at. Barry, I'll let you have the helmet. Well, Huckleberry's getting old, and I just put him to death. He's on his last one. I just want to thank everybody for coming today. You know, I know we're always cracking with you guys doing a hell of a great job out there. You know, I know, feedback that comes back from the customers just of our, our service, which is you guys, as far as the business. Every time I go to one of these business trips, people rave about, our customer service. So thank you for that. I'm just going to chime in. There's a few things, I talk to most units on a pretty regular basis. So some issues comes up, I can get you them right away. Dispatch has a few things that I go over, and I might chime in here and there. But thank you very much. It's definitely a trying year coming the pandemic, losing Nashville. I was so impressed that we lost a branch right into a fucking pandemic, and we didn't skip a beat. We kept going every day. Everybody had a job. We didn't miss any time. I was proud. I'll turn it over now to the dispatchers, let them get a few points that we got. He had stuff for electronic voting. Everybody here hates that damn thing. There's a few things that really put them in the box out here. They keep tightening this down on us, and when she gets into a special unit, that speed work, man, do not move that fucking truck. It throws red flags. So what we'll do is we'll get
All right, good morning. Yes, I invited the dispatchers. We just want to go over a couple things. It's not going to be much. You've all heard it all before. You guys have been doing this a very long time. We're just going to be dead horse, but it needs reiterated. We don't get to see you guys all at once. It's nice. But the first thing on the list is communication. Some of you are really great at it. Some of us are a little less than great at it, but it drives everything we do. We get to keep your wheels moving the more we know about you. If you're going to get unloaded early, that's good to know before 5 p.m. So feel free to give us a ring and let us know that you're going to get unloaded early. We can make the next plan, even if you don't know. You're cruising, you don't know if you're going to get unloaded early, but you think you're going to try. Swam's going to try. I know he's going to try. Let us know you're going to try. We'll still make the plan just in case. The point is letting us know that kind of thing is extremely helpful. Your 10 hours, I just want everybody to know also with our planning, because I know that it hits you different sometimes. We're going off 10 hours of rest. I didn't know that you ate gas station sushi last night and you're going to take a couple hours to crack your brains out. I didn't know that. so just let us know. Like, listen, I need a couple more hours. I'm going off for 10, okay? So let us know if it's going to be much different than that. It doesn't have to be 10 every day.
Can you let us know what sushi you got that from?
You should know when it's at Gas USA. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. Just not coffee. So just, again, we're going off the 10-hour thing. If it's going to be different, it's not, we're not going to bring the hammer down. Just let us know. All we do is sit and plan all day. We can't do that without your help. Let us know if it's going to be different than what you dispatched.
Yeah, just a big thing on that. When I come in the morning, that's the first thing I do. I do all the ASNs so we see what we have loaded at the plant. So if I'm planning you at 10 hours and I send that message over to Bill of what we have, or if we have directs or whatnot, we give it to you, or I give you something a little different, and then you show up 4 hours after the fact that I thought you were going to arrive, we could have switched up the plan and maybe use it a little different.
Run a little more efficient.
Yes.
That's like what I like to say, Mike.
Yes. Because everything changes. Everything's like at a drop of a dime, the whole plan can change. So, just keep
That's
us
sort of the
aware.
new challenge is because of the material situations, it's worse than ever.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm changing them pickups non-stop behind the scenes with those guys. I mean, it's enough to drive you nuts. I'd love to tell you I'm looking at 40 loads and where we need it, but the product's in that high of demand going out that there's a lot of times that maybe I was thinking I wanted you in Ohio and now I'm going to send you to Nashville instead, or even back to PA, or we get light on the trucks up here. These two are doing an awesome job. We dispatch very uniquely, being that most of the stuff's internal. They'll pull them, and they've been doing a great job. Mike comes in at 4:30. As of late, I've always been the early bird on the board, but I've been getting up at 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, and I work the night shift and the day shift. But it's behind the scenes. I'm trying to get the load set up that we're bumping trailers. The more I'm bumping trailers, the happier I am.
I mean, you guys do an excellent job. Just as everyone knows, one of the key things I can say about Berlin going forward, there's times where we're picking up 18 Berlins in a day. And you guys know me, and if you work with us, every day, if I have the Berlin loads, by 5:30, you got your empty and your Berlin load. If you don't have that Berlin load, and we're watching you guys going, it's safe to say, go in, double check with the office, and then give me a call, because that's what I'm waiting on. I'm waiting for you guys to get there, because we may not have the ASNs yet, but if I got those loads, that's the first wave I get out, so I can start planning.
And always be pleasant and respectful at the plant, and try to stay out of their way. You know what I mean? We don't want to ever be confrontational. I'm not going to pay you for sitting there. It's all good, we're paying you, but I'm dealing with union labor, and they're my buddies down there. They are. I do loss with them and stuff, but it's real tough. I mean, the bosses, they come in, they have a lot of call-offs. They're actually loading trailers. The bosses are loading the trailers. So when I'm telling them, Mike hits me with there's 18 hits, and then he gives me like a 3-hour window. We got 3 trailers loaded. I got the work cut out for me that day. I've even offered to go down and load trailers, and I mean that. I would do it too. I mean, it's absolutely positively that way. But it's real important, man. You're the last face that all my customers see and the relationships. I get no complaints from you. If I did get complaints, I wouldn't be here. You know what I mean? But it's just, you're kind of the last face of Appalachian and Wpt, so it's a big deal when you go in and you're respectful. Just, if they tell you it's going to be 2 hours, tell these guys it's going to be 2 hours. You guys know I'm witchy like you. If I don't need that load, we're going to be letting the wagon and bobtailing. So it's, at the end of the day, it's all about the communication part of it, but sometimes there's challenges. So having all those loads loaded, it's like Christmas for me over the weekends when the plants are preloading and I have a full board that I know what we actually have to play with. There are weeks that these guys trade off dispatch, and if you got a bad week, man, you loaded 20% of the trailers, I can tell you it's going to be a bad week. It don't get better as the week goes on.
Yeah, so the communication back from you guys always helps. Quick thing about brokers too, while we're talking about communication. That's your baby there. Okay, we're gonna get it for you. We're gonna get you out of there. But if you're gonna be early to it, I know the pickup's at 1 p.m. Sorry about that. There's not just broker loads hanging up, and you just get to boom. I like this one right here, and I'm gonna take it. We're gonna go. It doesn't work that way. We got the best one we could. We look around. We do our best, but. I mean, just this past week, not this past week, but yeah, this week. I think there were 19 brokers between Monday and Tuesday. We're not going to be able to call. You're out on the road. We give you the broker's number. Please keep communication up with them. You're going to be early if this thing's jacked up, if they're refusing freight. Keep us in the loop, but start there. Start with that. What else? On communication.
On the communication thing, just the big thing. And I want to thank you guys because you guys do a good job. And sometimes it's a little later with Tony. If we can get a little earlier, it's great. But the big thing with the communication, like if you guys are stuck in the shop where something happens, you break down, flat tire, and you're going to be a little late. These ladies been saving us, because we're calling them up immediately. And I mean, without skipping a beat, because that's the thing that you guys don't understand, like behind the scenes, which you don't need to. You know, that's our job to understand that. Your job is to get the freight there. But these girls are communicating. I mean, when it's changing all of a sudden, that's why I actually boot. All right, what time? 10? If you say, well, maybe 8, oh, you know, he thinks he'll be there at 8:30, let's just give him 9, you know, a little.
It's probably worse now than it's ever been, because the problem we have is the customers are having labor problems too. They don't have the labor. So, you know, if they're counting on the truck being there at 6 a.m., even though that stuff's not spoiling in that box, they want them guys to get that thing unloaded and roll. Them guys are go work, you know, the contractors. And then the commercial yards, they're the same though. They're so strapped for labor. You know, most of the time if you're communicating and it's going to be late, you know, they're going to hold somebody back, but it's going to be a longer unload. It throws the whole schedule off. You know, if we think you're going to be rolling by 7 and you're not going to be rolling until 10, then that typically is not lining up with something else. And everything's a fireball. Everything we do is a fireball these days. It's like, I call it controlled chaos. Early on it was just chaos. Now it's at least controlled chaos. It's chaotic for sure.
And really, the last thing I would like to touch on, and this, I would say, is probably our weakest issue we have, or our weakest area, or the issue that I can see the most growth in, is we do a great job on our pre-trips. You know, hey, this trailer has a flat tire, this is dinged up. We do not do a great job on our post trip, because a lot of those trailers that guy on that pre-trip is now saying has a flat tire or this or that. That's loaded to come somewhere else, so that's staged for a guy, or that's empty that we dropped that winder. You know, I know it's tough to get a hold of people sometimes, but if we could get that addressed, because we're already screwing the next guy over. It's not you who dropped it that has to deal with it. It's the next guy that has to deal with it. And then, you know, we like to keep our equipment looking good and in good shape. And I mean, that's our biggest thing, you know. We gotta be. We're
setting up a separate mailbox. We don't have it completely done yet. And it's actually going to be named shop maintenance. And it'll be on your phone, and we'll have some training exercises with you, but we want you to start sending the maintenance stuff to that mailbox with it. And then there's a bunch of us that have visibility to it. Heath will be in charge of it, and then Randy will also have access to it with the phone and email and the shop guys. But we like to know a little bit ahead of time. Like if we have a trailer that's out there that's got a whatever's going on with it and stuff, we earmark that, and then I monitor that thing. I actually, if it's something that's safe and we can get it back, I typically monitor that I get it back to the den. You know, I'd like to have it fixed here. The service that we get performed outside of PA is horrible. It is. So it's, you know, my goal at this point is we're going to build a place in Nashville. So I didn't even elaborate on that, but we're in the process of negotiating. We are building another facility in Nashville that'll be ours with a maintenance shop. So we're going to put a substantial maintenance out there too. That you're here. You going to run that for me? Yeah. Okay. But that's the goal, because the further we get out, the harder it is.
You're going to get travel pay to run between the 10 and Nashville.
Fix it. Some of the maintenance stuff that comes in is stuff that could have been fixed. You know what I mean? Like that. Don't let your head
Stuff you in the trailer, that's where you can be.
Regardless of what, we're close.
Give me a jump seat to the E-train.
Close. And all you're doing is fouling somebody else up. And if we don't know there's something on that, we're going to load that trailer. And if the guys don't catch it, I got them pretty dialed in. I got, you know, when we're loading the trailers, we're doing basically a pre-trip when we load the trailer. So we're checking lights and stuff here at PA, you know what I mean? So everything gets loaded here, we go over real good. And ideally, that cuts down on a lot of the headaches, you know what I mean, that's going on out there. Our trailers are spread out now. We have quite a few driving, so more fun, you know, just so more trailers, more headaches. Trailers are possible to get. I do have trailers coming that have been ordered, but ordered trailers right now are only getting dated. So there's no date. Like, they don't even know when they can build them. They can't get wood through the floors. They can't get steel. The price is straight through the roof. I mean, the trailers are up like 40%. It's crazy. So it's, you know, it's nuts. So I always have to know that.
They make them with the doors.
You guys are sending them pictures of the damage and stuff, even though you don't deal with me here face to face like we do. He's very involved with the trucks. You know what I mean? It's a very important
And I
truck.
see somebody's been running
And that's
grease down
honestly,
the
that's,
seam.
my heart's with the trucks. You know what I mean? When I'm watching it, that's my baby. So I'm looking at that stuff and I'm looking, I want to grow up when I see the damages in these drop yards and stuff. But we do want to document. A lot of times I go back and find out what happened, who did it, and all that good stuff. Don't let your problem for somebody else.
Yeah, I just want to touch base on that a little bit, because I deal with that and then yards down there on a regular basis. Like, do a good pre-trip. I'd rather know about the damage ahead of time, you know, especially when you guys upload that into Samsara, I get a text message right away, you know, that there's damage, and I can look at it and see if it's already been recorded or whatever. But like, for me to go back and fight those yards, because you guys all witnessed them yard jockeys dragging them damn things around, flat tire, you know what I mean, putting flat spots on the wheels, crushing the ICC bumpers, and I have a hell of a time recouping those things, even though I know we didn't do that damage, so please do.
Tommy, how about the yard jockey that was at Winder years ago with the wedges? Do you remember the guy that used to slam the trailers when they didn't have the jockey truck? So they had a yard jockey down there. They welded wedges on the back of the trailer. And so he didn't have to roll wheels up. He would go slamming into the front of the trailer. That thing would pop up on the fifth wheel. He'd take off, and between bed and landing gears, and there was one tree down there, we had probably 12 trailers. You pick them up, the right side was crushed. I had to drive down. It got that bad, I had to go to the plant and get it straightened out. And that's the kind of stuff that gets expensive.
I email them supervisor, that's why I ask you, it's like, if you get there and you have damage, like, go in and get the supervisor right away. Because as soon as I emailed him, the first thing he said, that was done before it got here, you know, and I have that fight.
I will tell you though, 99% of places you are, you guys all, it's all there's cameras everywhere. Somebody's watching you somewhere. I mean, so normally somewhere on one of the security cameras is going to pick it up. So it's the world we live in.
That's just the outside of the trucks.
Yeah.
You want to take care of the inside of the trucks too. I know Scott over there will back. Been in, some of the guys been in for 3 days and it's a mess on it. Please try to
That's
take care of
something
it.
that I'll get involved with, that I do try to provide them good equipment, so, you know, respect that. If they get fighting.
I think one of the last things we want to talk about before we go is just double checking all your numbers before you leave a place, any place, a plant, a warehouse, whatever it is, that load you have. PO, bill of lading, what you put in that email, the product if you're able to.
You and Wander at one time. You looked at his paperwork, opened up the door, and stuff fell out on him, but it was the wrong product.
Yeah,
Had the right
So we're
product
their
on the
largest
paper.
customer, so when the trailers are backed in, you've seen them already, you pull into New Jersey, there'll be 20 trailers backed in, you know what I mean? And you got, the help's not the best anymore, you know what I mean? But it's real easy to invert numbers or change something, or they change it and they forget to change the paperwork, but you know, trailer number, bill of lading, PO, and the product are real big deals. It wasn't too bad when we had Virginia and Pennsylvania as 2 branches, but boy, I get pissed if I have an Ohio loading floor. You gotta put water on me at that point. It's not good.
So always check your stuff. But I don't really have anything else. I do appreciate the work you do. I know I just sit behind the computer, but I know the challenges that you face. We
Well,
appreciate it.
we know what stress you guys are under, and then, you know, the same thing goes with them. They're under a lot of pressure dispatching too. It's not an easy job. I tell them all the time, it's like a damn jigsaw puzzle. There's some days all the pieces go together, and you're high five, and you go home, it's all good. There's some days we go home, we're all hanging our head. We're still working at 10:30 at night trying to figure out what the hell.
Just to get you guys moving.
Yeah, to keep you moving, that's the goal.
That's our end game here, you know, we want to make all you guys money, we all want to be successful. And I mean, like I have told Bill, there's been multiple times, this has been the craziest past year and a half I've ever dealt with.
When we're running on, they actually started to curtail production because they didn't have enough raw materials. They didn't have enough, there's a paper shortage, so, you know, we call it facing. They can't get facing, there's a binder product that's in the product that comes out of Texas, they can't get enough binder. It's just been like one challenge after another. They just they had a fire down in Berlin, which was disheartening. And then they can't get plastic bags. The plastic bags, they air freighted the plastic bags into Berlin for 2 trailer loads of poly bags to keep the material on. So, you know, it doesn't even shut down.
Yeah, hold on.
But, you know, so they got costs like that on. I mean, that cost is getting passed along. You know, it's going out in the marketplace, passed along. What's going to happen is the inflation will drive the cost of the home to the point where it's not worth that money, and you're going to have a crash. So it's like when they're sitting on and telling you how great the economy is right now and stuff, this is all the momentum that came from 4 years ago. 5 years ago, really. And I don't think that it's not salvageable, but go register to vote. So, you know, I think that's a big deal. I think you should get your voice out there. It's real important, all our retirements for sure. What else?
That's what we got, but we're not the only people in the building. I think T has a couple things she wants to yell at you about. But thank you for everything.
All right, man. All right. All right, so you guys are doing good handing in all your paperwork and everything like that. But that week I sent out that email, I don't know if you guys got it or if you read it, that I need all your paperwork submitted in Samsara, all JM VOLs, all AIS customer VOLs, pack and slips. It was great that first week, and then the second week it went to shit again. So, hey girl.
I will tell you something about you have to talk slow and all the time sometimes. They get all, you know, because they like to go back to the way it was. They do. They don't like change. Truck drivers don't like change.
But I need that for all my billing, so I'll just keep it up. I need all your VOLs and the whole shebang uploaded in Samsara. So if you have any questions, reach out to me. I also need all the loads. I've been good with all your loads deliveries, with all the paperwork. Some weeks are hit and miss, but when I bill out loads, I need that paperwork to send the main lady. So I definitely need that paperwork too. Another thing is, like, you guys. So another thing is sleeper berth. When you're in sleeper berth, always put it, if you have to move for any reason, put it in PC.
From the gas station.
Yeah, from the gas station sushi. And you better hold your button because you're gonna put it in PC. Yeah. So always just put it in PC. If you start driving, a lot of you guys know it's gonna click in driving. If you don't put it in PC, and then you're just kind of screwed.
Yeah,
Don't figure it out.
Try not to move at all. Don't think that you're going to drive under the 5 miles per hour and get away with it because it is flagging. And then it resets at 10-hour thing. So all day long you're in violation. So we've been having guys go and make the law just to avoid the violations. We all know it's bullshit. You know what I mean? So please don't do that. Like, try to get that switched over and stuff. Some of the stuff she was talking about there, certifying your law. Take that, something just
super hard all the time. The bigger the company gets, the harder it gets to do. We do everything in-house. You know, and if we go to an outside service or something, you don't have a choice every 2 weeks. And I don't even like that. I like eating shit every week. It's all good.
My question, Gary, is, this happened to me the other day where I shut off so I could make an appointment. And I want to follow this thing. I moved to the shop. And it cut me off what, 34 seconds?
Yeah, it was like 34 seconds.
I know I put PC on there. Okay? But it kicked me back on driving. Would it be better off if I signed out? If I put myself in...
I would like to try that, Elvis. I almost think that would work. You know, sign out of your truck, that way it moves, you know what I mean? You're still counting your time. Because I'm telling you, 3 seconds, they'll flag you for 3 seconds.
Yeah, I would try that first. I would, because I think then you can further ahead on the maintenance and everything else.
Yeah.
That Samsara's, you know, as much as I love to hate stuff, that's actually a pretty good tool compared to what we've had in the past.
It just kind of seems like they really tightened it down this past year. You know, we keep getting notifications that this, we're not going to be able to do this, we're not going to be able to do that. And it's just, man, I'm telling you, you got to just move that car, that truck.
If you shut it off and start it back up, you do that.
Yeah, you got to be careful. You got to look at that, what you're actually in.
There again, register to vote. You want to register to count.
Yeah, I got back last night, and I was there for 10. I put on duty, go checking with every serial on the trailer. I could back out, and I had to even drive it.
Yeah,
I was on duty when I went in the trailer.
yeah.
When I backed out the truck, I was driving.
It's electronic.
I back in and put myself back on.
There are errors, definitely errors, you know, you should document that kind of stuff in the remarks section and stuff like that, but that's all it is, we're just remarking to it, you know what I mean? It doesn't change the fact that you're in violation or something like that, so.
Yeah,
And believe me, we hate it. Yeah, it freaking drives me nuts. Yeah. You have
So you can check to see how you got that guy.
But one thing I would like to say real quick with the calls and the T's. T is a busy woman in that office. She keeps a lot of pressure off the dispatchers with like brokers and a lot of outside call companies. Plus, on top of all the drivers calling in. And we know she's a great therapist and she does a great job sometimes for you guys. But if we could cut down, like,
We're gonna start charging.
yeah, like,
4 minutes with tea.
yeah,
I don't see any offenders in here, but we know you're out on the road driving. He's in there actually working and doing a lot of stuff. Sometimes the conversations get lengthy. I call it Mama T in there, because you probably saw like a lot of drivers' personal problems out there in their own lives and everything else. So just be cognizant of how much time it takes. You know, if you're talking business, that's fine. You know, if you're talking personal, like, keep doing
But that's everything for me. Thank you guys. I got a paper so I can remember how to tell you guys everything. So don't start. I'm Ricky. I don't know some of you guys for some new faces. I work for Appalachian. I have Crystal and Sherry here. We work in the main office. So we're going to kind of explain just a couple of things on how we work with the dispatchers and with you guys and the customers. And we want to try to make your lives as easy as possible. So these are some of the things that they'll hopefully help you and help us to help you, if that makes sense. So we have access to Samsara. We also have access to the dispatch email. We do not monitor the dispatch email all day long. We're going and looking for stuff, but we're not monitoring it. So at times, if you guys send a message to dispatch and you're looking to get it to us, we may not necessarily get it right away. So, you know, we're gonna either get it from dispatch or, you know, we might have, you know, you give us a call or something like that. That's fine. There's 3 of us in the office. There's always one of us there at 6 a.m. If not, me and Crystal or Sherry.
we have in the system to talk to is not who they're talking to. So that sometimes might save some time. Otherwise, again, call us if you know, as a second resort, but we'll always, you know, if anything, call us if you don't remember to call.
So our big thing is too in the industry, so that the insulation business started to narrow up. Our businesses went through a lot of consolidation. So in other words, we had big companies buying all the small companies up. There's only 4 of us left. We are the biggest independent left. So we're the biggest independent distributor in the United States, even though we don't ship the West Coast, we're still the largest. Probably the biggest thing in Appalachia is and that's like you guys. I mean, we're next day, internally, I kill them inside, getting the trucks loaded and doing what we're doing. We turn loads faster than anybody else in the industry. That's something to be super proud of. You know what I mean? And our on-time delivery, early on, Barry didn't know why I was melting down. Our on-time delivery is 99.7. I track it close, because if that starts to slip, I got a serious problem. You know what I mean? Like, I got to get it done. That's very little wiggle room. You know what I mean? There's some dancing goes on behind the scenes. Like, if you guys break down, we're typically trying to load another load somewhere to still make what we're doing happen. So there's some serious dancing goes on behind the scenes. But
there's a couple different things too. I mean, we, like Bill was saying, we have certain customers, they're contractors. They have guys there at 6 a.m., 7 a.m., and then they're gone. So then you might show up with a full trailer of Climate Pro that has to get hand unloaded, and they don't have anybody there to do. They're looking at you like you're going to do it. Yeah. So that's why we're trying to get you, because if they can't
that's why
take
we're having to start working out. Get out there. Get ready.
So if you're not going to get there until 9, then the chances are we may push that load off to another day to save everybody the hassle. They might say, you know, if that customer can't take it at 9, and it's understandable, then we'll say, well, we can't do it tomorrow, we'll do something else. So that's another thing. The other thing some of you guys have experienced too is if you are scheduled for a 6 a.m. delivery and you roll in at 6:30 and now there's other trucks in front of you, I mean, you might have to now wait because you didn't get there when you were supposed to get there or whatever. So that's why if we can make sure to know and communicate with those people, then we will do, you know, we'll do whatever we can to help you with that. You guys are sending in, sometimes you're sending in to dispatch your arrivals or your departures. Can you please send both? And the reason being is we actually have a list of everything that's getting delivered. Like on my desk right now, because I'm in early on Monday, I have a schedule with all the trucks going out on Monday from all the locations. And we're checking off, making sure everybody's there on time. And if we see somebody's not getting there, then we're just making sure that, you know, we contact the customer or something like that. We're trying to be proactive for you guys and for them. So sometimes if you send that you've departed the den, but you don't say that you've arrived to the customer, you know, now we're searching Samsara, which again is fine, but if you're not, you know, so if we see you in Samsara and we all know technology is not perfect, if something's not updated in Samsara, we might be, and then you have to hear us calling you, where are you at, why aren't you there? But, you know, so just if you can send your arrival and your departure emails at the dispatch, that would be helpful. You'll have to hear our house. Okay, so when you're not getting unloaded at an AIS customer delivery, we tell the customer they have 2 hours free. Not free. They have 2 hours, and then after that hour, then we start charging detention. Sometimes there's circumstances that we'll give them, you know, if you're there for 3 hours, you know, we'll play it by ear. If you get there and 15 minutes later you're not unloaded and you're calling back saying, well, they're not unloading me, you know, be patient. I mean, we'd say give it about 45 minutes to an hour. Again, if there's 3 trucks in front of you or you got there late or something like that, you might have to.
Yeah, I get what to do about that, too. You know, we like to know, like, if it's going over 2 hours, and we want to know if it's going into 3 hours. So in my mind, I'm already going to ask you guys that we know you're there. I make these guys send me a list of trucks that are going to hit plants with EPAs. I drove for a lot of years, and I'm
customers and be like, why aren't you getting them unloaded? And here you already actually are unloaded. So, but please don't wait till you've been sitting there for 4 or 5 hours and be like, they still haven't unloaded it. Then I'm gonna be like,
Usually once you get there, if it's a 7 a.m. appointment, they can work on it in 15 minutes. We might know, because I'll start getting them right away. Like
Yeah.
saying, hey, look, you know what's going on.
Overall, man, you guys do an outstanding job.
I mean, just take notice of what's going on around it. Like I said, if there's other trucks there, or there's, you know, they got one guy unloading, but they know you're there. I mean, I've had, this was drivers in the past that they'd be like, well, there's nobody here. Did you go to the office? No.
Yeah, get out of your truck.
I mean, there's stuff in front of the drum trailer.
That's actually a really good joke.
One of our things is, you know, we get into tailgating and stuff. If you got any kind of personality, the majority of the time you're going to get out of the tailgating part. But at least open up the doors, watch the unload, and count the products. You know what I mean? Because the 53-foot dry van only holds X amount of products. So if we're short something, and it's a full trailer, there was too much of something else. And it turns into this big piss-off internally as to determine what's on and off of the trailer. And when you see what's out there as far as the labor force, I mean, there's a lot of people unloading that can't speak English, you know what I mean? So, you know, you're doing sign communication while you're trying to get this all done.
Well, and that goes along with our next point. If you have discrepancies on your loads, and you guys, I think this is one thing that we've talked about every year, and this is probably the one thing that I know gets better and better and better. Anytime you have a discrepancy, I would say first and foremost, call back to wherever you pulled the load from, because I know at the den, we actually have a sheet that has exactly how it's loaded on the truck. So we can look and see that something is loaded, and maybe you got a stack of, you know, 2 different products, and they didn't pay attention that it's actually 2 separate products, and they're saying they're missing something, but it's actually at the bottom of that stack. So, again, if you call us, then we have to be like, okay, hang on, we gotta call North Carolina, or you gotta call North Carolina. So just call right away, just call the load, or the branch that you pulled the load from, and then they'll help you try to figure it out, or maybe there was a mistake.
Our inventory is so precise anymore, and it's hard to believe that besides the facility we have, typically we're doing checks constantly. I mean, I monitor that consistently on our floors. We're oversold by right now a little over 1,800 trailers. So in other words, we have orders for 1,800 trailers we do not have. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm not the wheels off.
Try strategy.
Yeah, so it's a painful working environment.
Yeah.
It's just tough.
I do the billing for 7 of our 8 locations, and that billing is done every single day, if not by the very next day.
Ignore everything he said.
Yeah.
5 miles under the speed limit.
We're making adequate use of the hours available. That's how you want it.
So yeah, I mean, if you guys have those discrepancies, we want to know them right then and there. Don't wait till you've left stop 1 to go to stop 2 and be like, oh yeah, by the way, because maybe there was something that we could have worked out then and there. So mark the bills, call us, and do it while you're still on site so that we can make sure that we're taking care of all that. Like I said, this is probably one area that has gotten so much better. But yeah, we would rather, I mean, yes, definitely mark the bills, but call us, because by the time you guys submit your paperwork into Tatiana, she does what she has to do, and then she eventually sends it to us. It's like, what, maybe 2 or 3 weeks? I mean, we're constantly getting the paperwork in, but it's not real time, so.
On our end too, we're not monitoring your dispatch email.
Right.
I do, but you know, I'm going behind. I average on a day. I mean, very close to 4,000 emails a day. Come in and did a thing. That's a lot of emails to read. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, and I'm doing that from Appalachian, from the sales standpoint, from the orders coming in. There's just a lot of things that we can report. So, you know, these guys have gotten pretty good about grabbing me when we have a problem. Sometimes I don't even know we have a problem for a couple hours, because a lot of times I can fix it a lot quicker than anyone else.
And some of these customers want you to take the product with you, but that's just not an option.
Yeah.
Sometimes we can get them to keep the product and use it somewhere else. We can work our magic or call one of the account managers, they can work something with them. You know, but they think that you're just leaving there and coming right back to a warehouse, which is not. I mean, if you are, then that's great. We can do it right then and there. But we know that you guys are going to a plant, going to a broker, You know, sometimes we, call them and say, what can we do? Because they are adamant about not keeping this material. So that's where we want to have a call from you guys right away so we can try to work something out. With your packing slips from Appalachian, if you can definitely make sure that you're getting signatures from the customer, something legible, and then there's a little box in the bottom right-hand corner that you can, as your driver, you can put your initials. Sometimes it comes back and there's a question and maybe we didn't get to hear from you and we can call you. Some of you guys are great. You're like, oh yeah, I remember that 3 weeks ago they did X, Y, and Z. And then sometimes you're like, I have no idea. So, it helps us, but again, we can also go back and look and see who took the load. And we can, I get yelled at because I have too many emails in my computer and I blow up the email server. So, but I can find everything just like that. It's just, I tend to.
There's a lot of communication goes on there. There's a lot of emails, of course, day, week, month, this.
Yeah. And then the last thing I really have is, part of with the paperwork too, as Tatiana was saying, because sometimes you guys are delivering to our customer's customer, they are asking us for the packing slips or proof of deliveries because they have to bill out their customer. So you guys just those Scirocco's for us, those loads are very important. When we get those, they're asking for those packing slips right away. Which, again, we may get them back from Tatiana, but not within a couple of weeks. So some of you guys are uploading only bill of ladings. If you can upload both packing slips and bill of ladings, that would be very helpful. Then, she has what she needs, we have what we need, and then it just saves some time. And then if there's if there's any discrepancies, we can see that also, but hopefully we've already done that. And then finally, the last thing is, if you guys, I know directions are sometimes a pain in the butt. I'm going to tell you straight up, and Dan, I will kick you in your head. We either don't get directions, we either get directions from somebody that, thinks that they have them, or we're getting them from Google or Bing Maps. I'm sitting at a desk, and if somebody tells me or doesn't give me anything, I'm going on there and I'm doing the best that I can to give you directions. We are but requesting that you guys, when you go there, we know that some of you guys are probably like, oh, they have directions, I'm not even paying attention to this. You have better means probably of getting there. This route is not trucker friendly, this route. If there's something that there's there or that you can provide to us to help the next person, please do so. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten yelled at, probably by Dan, that says that these directions are awful, but yet there's been like 20 people that have gone there, nobody's told us about it. So please let us know if there's anything on there, or if you yourself have noticed that there's a certain way that you gotta get in there or gotta get out of there, then let us know and we'll put notes on there. I know you guys ask a lot, can we sleep there? I mean, we've never seen it, and even if I Google Earth it, I'm like, maybe. So just let us know, and otherwise we'll call the customers. Some of you guys are good about just calling yourself, but we will do the best that we can, but please let us know if there's anything specific that we need to know going forward, moving forward. Say, don't ever take a trailer into that job site, don't ever take a sleeper into that job site. We'll do the best that we can. Ladies, do I have anything?
Oh, here we
else?
go.
Okay. Dear God, help us all. Go ahead.
I know everybody hates change, but, and I've said this for 9 years, and this actually falls on probably Gary and Jake the most. It would go along like you got drivers, be reminded of that. We should know how to get it. If we could get a physical address attached to our dispatch, especially with Scirocco's, like you just mentioned, we get Scirocco Midland Town. Well, that's not where we're going. We're going to their customer. We have no idea. So when you go home, you're going to go, okay, I'm going to look up Scirocco in Midland Town. Type in, Google it, and there is no Scirocco in Midland Town.
Right.
So we do know how, unfortunately, to get places. If we have a physical address, especially with now we don't do job sites so much anymore. But if we have just a physical address at the bottom of the dispatch. Yeah.
He's your therapy dog right now. He's a little
Yeah. But a whole address would just,
That's something that should be fixed.
Yeah. dispatchers, if you have multiple stops, get pretty long. Doug's our 11th stopper up in New England on a regular basis. So, yeah, we'll do. You sure do? Yeah. Anything else?
Guys, just one thing on addresses or talking about deliveries. I get a lot of phone calls at night, like we get to warehouses and they don't know the combo for the lock or the address. I meant to cover this when we were talking, but since this part came up. In your phone, in everyone's phone, we have the location, like AISSC. If you hit those in your contacts and scroll down, it has the address, the directions, how to get there, depending on which way
Go to the locks.
and the code to the contact.
You're welcome, I put that as in.
I mean, I love getting the phone calls at 10:30 at night sometimes, asking me about it, but I already said, it's in your phone.
And those directions in are my
I
directions.
had a bunch of phones in, phone numbers in my phone I
Yeah,
don't need.
they're not my directions, Dan.
I got Mom, I got Henry,
If you guys don't have anything else, let's take a quick 15-minute
Yeah,
break.
yeah.
When we come back,
I don't need those numbers.
we'll finish up. But let's take a quick break, get a drink, kind of do. There's soda and water and tea, the coolers over here. There's a lot of food over here. Eat, drink, be merry.
Alright, we're gonna get started here. We're gonna move into the shop portion of this and then to the insurance and wrap it up. Start getting out, so.
but yeah, I'm gonna check into my office.
Good morning.
This is my first meeting too, so I met most of you, or dealt with a lot of you. Some of you more on the phone than in person. But if you don't know, I'm Keith. I'm the new job foreman. When I was hired here, Bill said probably the best thing we can do is wipe the shop out and start over. So some of you know we've had that turnaround, wrap around, come around. We lost Randy. Randy came back. But we're making changes. Hopefully you're seeing things go in the right direction. Most of my meeting, or most of what I wanted to cover, I've heard bits and pieces of it already through everybody else's. But the number one thing that makes a shop work for us and work for you is communication. To me, anything in the world you're going to do, communication is the key to making it successful. Some of us in here have been in the military, you'll know right there, there's a prime example of it. Left hand don't know what the right's doing, you're in trouble. So that's kind of our key. Sometimes I know it gets chaotic trying to get that all working back and forth communication. One of the things that we're trying to work on with that is with your PMs and repairs you may need. Don't wait until you roll in to tell us what you need. Give us a call ahead of time. Usually when somebody will call me during the week, tell me about something, I'll say, let Randy, and now that Randy's back, let Randy know, I'll let Randy know. But let us know ahead of time. When you roll in, you heard the dispatchers talking earlier about trying to keep things flowing. I know ever since I started here, that's been an issue where if something rolls in the shop, they have an open plot at a time. They don't know, and we've tried to run some reports and stuff. Unfortunately, the means we have to pull those reports are not real reliable as far as miles due. That's something we're working on. You'll see, I know a lot of you used to get the sticker that was in there. I think you kept them up on your visor, or you had the card that was kept either in the door pocket or somewhere. Those are fine, but us in the shop or me back in the office or wherever, we can't see that card. It's in the system, but it doesn't always have the detail of what was done. Sometimes in the past it was just put in there PM. So we don't know, is that a wet, a dry, whatever. They're very easy to track in the trucks. Everything here, basically, if you can remember 10,000, you're on the money. Everything is based off 10,000 and you're wet. So it's real easy when you have A wet done, that resets your clock. The wet's the one that will reset your 10,000 intervals. Every 10,000 after that, you're going to be doing a service. So you'll get a wet, you'll get a dry, you'll get a dry, you'll get a wet again. It's not hard to watch. For some of the other branches, I don't have to watch that on the computer for them. I guess they don't always get that feed or get to see it in a lot of the local trucks. That takes a lot longer time than you guys that are running up and down the coast with all the time in the sleeper. So, but that's real easy interval. One thing we did change that I was able to get when we changed our oil, we have now window stickers, static stickers. We're going to start running these on the windshield in the corner, help you make it easier. You're staring out that windshield all week. Hopefully you catch this once in a while and glance at the odometer and give somebody a call and say, hey, I'm coming up probably, when I get up there next time, I'm going to be real close to needing a dry or needing a wet or whatever. That helps us have everything timed up. Same with repairs. And I know I've talked to some of you and told you, don't let the little thing go. There's kind of, some of you that have been trucking for a long time will know it used to be the way you did maintenance was reactive. You wait until something broke and you fix it. You can't afford to do that anymore. If you listen to everybody that talk, timelines, all that kind of stuff, you don't have time in there to burn maintenance hours up at the same time. So it kind of made the maintenance industry window proactive, having to look ahead and make the repairs. I like to do it one further, which is predictive, but right now, with our computer system, the way we run everything for the maintenance, it's hard for me to generate that off of those systems. I've been working with Samsara some, trying to make it, and hopefully when we get Samsara going, what I want the maintenance side to do, it'll come up on your Samsara and remind you of that service. You don't have to look at that sticker. It'll come up based on your miles running through Samsara and tell you you're going to be doing dry. We can set it at like 1,500 or 2,000 miles before you're doing it. It'll remind you of that. With that service too, though, the only way we can make the proactive work is if you tell us ahead of time what you're seeing. Some of the stuff kind of rolled into the next thing, and one point that Bill touched on with the depth fluid. Any of you who have been driving since about 2010 know that these emission engines are definitely the whole problem in trucking right now. A lot of that, I talked to Larry just a little bit, or Randy a little bit ago out here, and a couple others on what's going on with them. The main reason that was when that all came around in 2010 and the federal government jumped in. Of course, we won't get into politics or anything anymore again, but when they mandate something across the industry that they haven't taken the time to research or make it work, this is what happens. So for over 10 years, we've still been fighting the issues that they created. And a lot of people don't know the background to that. I won't get into it real deep, but basically what happened then was when the feds decided we needed emissions on diesel engines, Cummins was the one that was already playing this game and doing it across the pond, so they were smart in the fact that they patented the regen system and how it worked. What that meant for everybody else was, since the feds instituted it and this company had a patent product, everybody had to use it. So you take a manufacturer like Detroit or Mack or anybody building their own engine. PACCAR came along later on. CAP was the one that stepped up right away and said, I'm not playing your game, and backed out. But what happened was all those manufacturers were told, this is the part you have to use. So I know I see a lot of double wings in here with all the Harleys. Imagine you going to buy a Harley, and I'm telling you, every Harley sitting there has no exhaust on it. And when you go to buy it, they tell you got to stop the Honda shop with your one wing and pick up the exhaust to run on your bike. That's basically what happened. So all these manufacturers had to try to make it work. The problem was Cummins didn't even have it down yet. Probably about 2 years after that, they went through 9 versions of the EGR in 1 year, trying to make it work. Bill knows he was through that. Anybody that was in the industry of maintenance on that side of things when that all happened will tell you it was terrible. At the same time, they introduced a dual overhead cam engine.
they recalled about 92% of them motors at one point or the other through the next 3 years because the EGR was starving those overhead cams of oil, and they were just burning cams out of them left and right until they figured out what happened. The EGR tubes were too small. But either way, that's where the emissions come from. We're stuck with it. We got to try to make it work. One of the big things, and Bill, I talked to him early on when I started here, found out that he was against APUs, and we've worked on that a little bit. I don't know what percentage of the trucks ordered have it, but I know some of them are at least coming with them. All of them? So all of them. Some of you that I've talked to or have had trucks with APUs, APU is huge. The thing that kills this regen system is idle time. And you guys all know that you have a bunch of it because of the way the truck and your runs and everything are set up. There's no way I can ask you to sit there on a 90-some degree day in Florida and just turn the little fan on the dash one, make the little Hawaiian girl sit up there and go around on it and be happy while you try to sleep. I know it isn't going to happen.
They're going to start stretching, Keith.
What's that?
They're going to start stretching.
When they pull in and that post-trip hits, then it's time to go out and have PT. We can institute a little PT. But either way, what happens with that idle is, and I've probably talked to 3/4 of you on having a check engine light come on. 99% of the time, when I get a phone call about a check engine light, it's related to the regen system. And 90% of the time, it's based on that system not being clean. We're changing some of the parameters and stuff that will help that. One of the big ones you'll see, I've seen this across the industry, you guys might not see it quite as quick because you're actually still grabbing gears in these trucks. But a lot of the industry, and you ought to know, you're about probably one of the only 3% left in the trucking industry that are still grabbing gears. Everybody's going to freaking automated transmissions. The reason is the majority of them are doing it because everybody's chasing for fuel mileage is easily exemplified with an automated transmission because basically you become a wheel holder and the truck does everything else on its own. But one of the things with that regen, when you sit there and idle, the temperatures drop and everything in that regen system, and it can't take the soot and burn it. That's what those chambers do in your regen system, your DOC, your DPF, and your SCR. They take soot coming out of the motor or unburned fuel and oil, and they burn it again and make it into ash so that what goes out the pipe is emission friendly. So that's what's going on inside that chambers, and it's most of the time running at a minimum of 1400 degrees, a lot of times up in the area 1850, 1900 when it's going to regen. What happens is those systems are very finicky, and a lot of times they add too many parameters to them. One of the ones that we're adjusting now, because I think it's one of the ones that I've seen it a lot in the areas like Tennessee and stuff where we're running a lot of trucks that you don't get a lot of highway miles. And they put a speed parameter on the regen. So you might be running down the road and say you get traffic or whatever, and your speed drops below 32 miles an hour, the truck puts regen. It'll go into a whole path. What happens is what was burnt through, half, 3/4 of the chamber, whatever, it just sits there. And then so you get above that speed plateau again, it'll kick the regen back in and burn that off. So what we've started doing is lowering that down. Like in the past, I've had companies I worked at, we had city units that ran in town all the time, local delivery, day cabs and stuff. We would take that down to a minimum of like 9 miles per hour. So basically anytime you're moving around at least above 9 miles an hour, it'll continue that regen and keep that system clean. So a lot of your regen lights will disappear when we do that. We've been doing them as they come through the shop. When we're going to PM, we do download, something I started, it was being done in the past and then it got let go and we started doing it again. We pull a download every time we do a wet PM. We pull out the download for that truck and we reset the mileage count. So the reason that is, like I mentioned predictive earlier, I can go across those downloads and look at temperature temperatures, look at cycles, look at how many counts, how many regens, and it's only based on that period of time from your last wet PM to this one. So when something starts going, you'll start seeing your regen counts go up. You'll start seeing your silt and depth levels go up. At that point, we know there's an issue, that there's something going on. Right now, I have about 5 trucks that we're going to be cycling through motor truck because just the way they're reading, they definitely have cracked faces on the DPF and DOCs. And what happens, how that happens is that soot can't burn through. It gets caught on the face of it. The next time it brings the temperature up, because it can't go nowhere, that face cracks to allow that heat through. And then from there on, those cracks start filling full of soot. So just maybe a little deeper than you need to know that that's where a lot of these lights are coming from. The reason we mentioned Bill definitely mentioned it earlier. Plastic is a high commodity right now, and we're having trouble getting depth that way. Basically, what we had to do was we got a truckload, a whole tractor trailer load of depth into the den, and we're shipping it out to the other locations from the den because North Carolina seems to be a bad area. North Carolina had about 8 weeks trying to get depth into their place and we couldn't get it. So we ended up getting it here and shipping it down within the company. I will tell you for that reason, if you're somebody who's running out of the normal area or you're not seeing a lot, hitting our places a lot, it may behoove you when you do hit the den or whoever where they have depth, keep 2 boxes or whatever in as much as you can carry, not cluttering your area up in there. Because some areas you get to in the United States, it's hard to find right now. I know previously it was told not to buy or try not to buy bulk depth on the road. I kind of lean the other way on that because if you think about that, most of the boxed up or jugged up depth, by the time it hits the market, is already 60 to 120 days old. Depth fluid definitely has a shelf life, and it definitely, if you notice, it always comes in a box. The container's inside a box. It's because the light sensitivity on it too. The more light it gets, the quicker it depletes. Bulk depth is probably your better route at this point. Where you can get it. The reason that is because the turnaround in those pumps is a lot quicker. The downfall with the jugs as well, when you open them, some of you that have been driving when depth first came out, it came with a cap that had a cardboard on the bottom of it. Yeah. And you'll notice now there's no cardboard in there, and you have to rip off foil. The reason they did that, if that cardboard falls in the depth tank, within probably 2 weeks, your depth system will quit working. The filter for that depth system will fit inside a ballpoint pen.
It's crazy.
That's we had something like that happen.
Yeah, it's the most half-assed setup I've ever been in my
It really is. I mean, the same thing on a 90-some degree day, that thing won't run if the line heaters don't work. What do you need line heaters on a 90 degree some day? But either way, the depth, pay attention to it. I like telling, I see them come in, the depth system does have an alarm through the Samsara, and it'll send it in. Your depth tanks are low. Do not run them below half the tank. If we can safely, in any way, stay above a half tank, it's to your benefit to do that.
So question, so they can pump that?
No, you don't want to pump.
No pump, always, okay, box.
Yeah, you want to stay away from the outside stuff.
Okay.
You want to pick them up old branches, and stuff. I mean, that's a serious problem with that. I'm sorry, but across the river, we got 3 trucks out in Denny. You were one of them out in Kansas where you had Denny's here. Yeah, Denny did it, and right over behind got that pile. And we filled up 3 trucks. And we were sitting out there, 2 weeks on the bulk, so it wasn't good.
I've run through it the other way more times than the bulk, but he's bulk.
Well,
So
yeah.
run it out.
If they're not going to fill out with the shop, if they're not filling out the whole pack, then I think we want to use our stuff.
Yeah, anytime you're in down there, definitely fill out water. Definitely get in and let the guys fill it. One thing that all leads into all this background on the regen. The regen lights, you get a light on, a lot of people react real quick. And don't be surprised, I know it's happened to a couple already. You'll have a yellow light come on, and by the time you look down, look back, there'll have a red light on. Don't panic, okay? Take these regen lights with a grain of salt and give me a phone call. 90% of the time, the best thing you can do is keep rolling. Do not stop, pull over. If you think I mentioned the speed parameter, there's also another one that reads off the parking brakes on the truck. As soon as you set the parking brakes, and some of you have seen this because I talked to you right when it happened, you'll get off. This happens a lot where you'll slow down. Your truck's regenerating going down the road and you don't even know. But you slow down to get off a ramp or whatever, you hit the ramp, the yellow light comes on. You're like, what? You know, the yellow light came on. So you go in, you're like, well, I'm going to pull into this truck stop and I'll call Heath to see what's up with this yellow light. So you go in there and you hit the brakes and it pops up on your green screen and tells you to go into a park regen. What happened was there's nothing wrong with your system. Your system is just trying to tell you how to correctly finish what it was doing going down the road. Basically, your truck was regenerating going down the road. Yellow light came on because you dropped below the required speed. When you set the parking brakes, when you go below the speed, it puts it in hold. It'll hold thinking you're in traffic and waiting for you to pick up speed again, and it'll resume. The only thing is the light stays on at that point until it finishes the regen. When it finishes it, it'll drop. It'll run through a check of pressures and temperatures, and your light will go off. But if you go in and you pull in that truck stop, and then now you set the parking brakes. When the parking brakes are set, what's called a passive regen rolling down the road, it knows it can no longer do it. Yet it has that chamber partially burnt, so it needs to finish that. That's why they ask you to hit a park regen. All you have to do is put the switch to the on. It'll come in. Most of the time then it don't take more than 20 minutes and it'll finish burning it off. Your lights will change, you'll see your temperature drop, your eye don't go back down, you see it, you're ready to roll. But on any time you have a question, don't do the pull off the side of the road. Call me while you're rolling. A lot of times I see your codes and I deal with a couple that I've called you already when I was watching codes and called you and said, hey, do you have a check engine light? Yeah, it doesn't seem to be affecting me though. Yeah, but it's an outlet knock sensor or it's this. Make sure you get in and get that repaired. As typically a regen should never take more than an hour. What happens is when you go through procedures, say when you got to that truck stop, you didn't initiate that park regen, it'll then it'll have an incomplete regen. So when you start up again, now it's got to totally start over to redo that regen. But the problem is it's not burning from the face, it's already starting deeper in the chamber. So it takes a lot more to try to get your temperature up to finish that. So you're better off at that point, to finish it there. If you don't, it'll kick that incomplete regen, and the next time in, that regen can take as long as 2 hours because it'll basically take 45 minutes to get it up to temperature that deep in the chamber to actually start burning again. But if you ever have any questions on them, give me a call. Unfortunately, I've had to learn a lot about them because you all know they are the problem. They're not quite as easy as the emissions in the car where you can bypass them or anything. So that was the main thing on the depth and the codes. It was mentioned too, that's what I said earlier, somebody asked me, what are you going to cover? And I said, well, I've heard highlights of all my stuff already from others, so I can just go up and say, hey, you heard my meeting. But housekeeping is the other one. I guess I'll cover that twofold on the fact that I've been working on trying to make the housekeeping of the guys when they're working on your truck as good as your requirements of what we asked of you to keep, what Bill asked of you to keep his equipment clean. We had a little issue with that. It is changing. You'll see that disappear with the grease issue that we had. That's been taken care of. But keep them clean. Part of that all relates to the fact if you got something little going on, let us know ahead of time. The main reason we're really pushing that right now is, Bill mentioned this, supply and demand is crazy. The day cabs, I think, I was trying to remember whose it was, we had a depth fault on the day cab, and Everything in that depth sending unit is all one piece. If any of you have ever put a fuel pump or a fuel filter or whatever in any modern vehicle, it all comes out the top of the tank as one piece. These depth tanks are the same thing. You take that piece out, it checks quality, it's your filter, it's your temperature, it's your level. All that stuff is one, and you can't replace an individual component of it. The problem is that part, that sending unit, right now is a national back order for 93 days. Bad part was we had one on the shelf. We had 2 trucks showing the same problem. Ironically, they were both one out of Florida, one out of North Carolina. So I sent the part to North Carolina and had a vendor that I deal with enough to trust him to do it, because it's as simple to screw up as letting the key on. If you let the key on when you hook it up, you might as well just unhook it and throw it in the trash can. It will burn that sensor out right there. It can't handle a surge to the system. So it has to be done with the key off. So it's real, I can't just send it to the driver, hand it to the driver and say, run in TA and have them put it on. You're not going to like the results. Like Bill said with the depth where you set for a couple of months, it'll probably happen. A couple of weeks, it'll probably happen real quick. I was lucky enough to start, since we have a good working order with our Kenworth dealer and Cummins dealers, we did do some digging. I have one of them coming out of southern Florida and one coming out of Arkansas. So I will have 2 of them back in our hands beginning of the week. But those are why I want to know ahead of time. We want to know ahead of time what's going on, or if there's issues or something sporadic. Some of the things, like I've been watching my phone here today and yesterday, a Hammer 65, he's running around. I'm pretty sure we got an engine problem in that truck. We're going to need to get him back. I think he's got rings carboned up, getting a lot of readings on the engine so we're probably going to end up having to swap him in, decide which route we're going to go there. But I do watch those faults and codes. That's why I'll call you sometimes, certain ones, and it happens the other way too. You'll call me and say about, I've had this code, your question, why didn't you ask me, or why didn't, some of them are bogus. Some of them, the sensitivity to that code and what it relates to shouldn't do what they do. The one that bugs me the most, and most of our trucks are set to give you the longest period of time, a simple depth sensor that I'm talking about in the day cab, it'll come on the second count, it'll tell you it's going to derate the truck. I can tell you right now, most of these trucks are set that you won't ever run into the issue of that thing derating you. There's like 3 base things, temperature, oil, and water, that are the main things that will actually derate you. The regen system, I will tell you, you'll hate me if I have to do it. But be prepared. I'll tell you all right now. You may be in Texas, since we're going to Texas more. You may be in Texas and tell me I got this annoying red light and a buzzer going off, and if I know what the code is, I'm going to tell you to drive it back here that night. Because the system will go inactive. But when the system goes inactive on its own as a safety measure, it will not hurt the truck to run it back. The only thing it hurts is your avoidance. Buzzer and light can be shut off. The only other thing I wanted to let you know was, like I said, Randy is back. Randy now is shop lead. Bill and I have talked. Randy's going to be getting a company phone. We'll have a number. Bill mentioned the email site. I will tell you, if you want me, the best bet, call me. I'm still old school. Call me. That's the best thing. Call me. And where I live, I don't get real good internet. So I might not see an email. If you're sending an email, just call me. I don't care when. Some of you know. You can call me at 3 in the morning, whatever. Call me. Take care of it.
Remember that.
I want to touch on one thing.
Oh, I've called it again.
Fueling, Love's is our site. We typically want to try to fuel off-site as much as Love's as we can. So what I do in the beginning of the year is I've always negotiated our fuel rebates. So there is fuel rebates out there. Love's hands down gives us the best, and there's all kinds of rumors within the organization. Anytime you hit the den, you should be topping off at that tank. We've noticed a significant difference with the fuel additive that we're adding at the den on fuel mileage and the regens. It cut the regens down by 50%.
Right now, I'm getting pricing to start supplying that fuel additive to the other branches, so you can pick it up there. One nice thing with the fuel additive we run, and I probably shouldn't tell you this because then if you do it, you do it, but you cannot add too much. But here's the problem. It is expensive. Anything that works good usually is. It is expensive, so pay attention to how it works. It is a very tiny bottle. Treats 250 to 350 gallons. So that's what I'm trying to get. They're trying to get away from the mini market little versions of it, but for us that would be the perfect thing to use. But they're pushing one that'll treat about between 12 and 1,800 gallons. So the thing is having you add it correctly. You, like I said, you can't hurt it, but you do hurt the company costs by doing it that way. So you can't hurt the truck with it, but it does not make it better for you either.
As well, it's not like you're gonna be able to go in and get a case.
It is not that the more is better. It only works to a certain level. So you add more will not make your truck do more. Like, some of it may be in racing, you add more ethane or more alcohol, it makes it better. That doesn't happen with this. It has a plateau, but as far as what it does, it's hands down breaking the market, beating the market up on it as far as the fuel additive. It's definitely the best thing out there. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Gelling is a thing of the past. You really don't see gel anymore. Gel came from moisture, and bio is all made up of peanut oils, canola oils, or used oils basically, and it absorbs moisture. So it eats up the moisture. It has kind of kicked out the issue of when fuel lines used to freeze up. Now what happens is that bio product gets thick and it can't move through. It is similar to gelling up, but when running the treatment, you'll never see it happen. This past winter, we had good cold temperatures, but fuel was always fine. I mean, it just, you don't see it. The second reason is when somebody was driving around, remember on a rainy day when you were running down the highway, you could see the steam rolling off your fuel tanks and everything because you had returned fuel going into the fuel tanks. Anybody notice you don't see that anymore? That's why. There's no fuel return to your fuel tanks anymore. Now it returns to the fuel filter. So that warm fuel going into cold fuel created moisture in the tanks, and that's where your water and your fuel came from. Now that it's not returning there, it's returning to the fuel head, you don't see that happen. But those are the reasons why the gelling up, as everybody called it, which was based on water or moisture, isn't really a thing anymore. Now it's the more is worried about treating the bio. The other advantage we have, and a practice we do that I think is awesome that a lot of fleets don't, every time you're in, whether it's a wet or a dry, you're getting fuel filters. That is so industry smart that it's crazy. That cheap 27 to, even if you got to buy them over the counter, $47 filter is cheap compared to 1 hour on the side of the road with the fuel filters.
If you have your own filter, well, they'll do it for $10.
Well, hopefully if you're running through us in the right pattern, you'll never have to have them do it. Bill, do you have anything else? Or anybody have
I
any
just
questions?
wanted to go back and reiterate, loves is our choice. That's where I want you to fuel as much as possible. So we do want to stay focused on it. Treat us real good. I mean, it's as much as 30 cents a gallon.
Yeah, they treat us good.
You know what I mean? So, it gets up there. Like when you're looking down south, don't feel you're saving any money by fueling down south where fuel prices are cheaper. Portion tags are portion tags. If they're selling the fuel cheaper, the tax on the road's higher. So at the end of the day, fuel's fuel. I mean, there's a national average, and unfortunately it falls into Pennsylvania has all of it front loaded on the taxes, on the fuel. Down south, we're just sending it behind the scenes. We're sending it to South Carolina and some of the cheaper places. But there was all kinds of rumors. You know how we were starting the trucks. Not the fuel it loves, that the bet bio's high. We always want to fuel at the den. Things that upset me, I want to see it fueling its loves in Middletown. I want to fueling at the den. The additive's in, everything's good. There's certain things I look for, and the reason, Heath, and I apologize on the DEF thing, we typically try to never ever buy DEF out on the road. I get mandated depth, I want to know where it's at. So the only way I can control that is if we're using my depth. You know what I mean? So we're using the tanks, or you're picking it up at the depth, and we're doing a real good job.
That too, though, is when we open the shop in Nashville, they'll have bulk depth there. So that'll make a huge difference as well.
We fueled 3 trucks. Danny got the first one, and I think Frankie was the second one. And then there was a third truck fueled, and it was all at the same. I was a pilot, I think, out there.
No, it was a
TN. Just anyhow tracked it down that it was that we had a contaminated tank out there, and they all got eligible. I mean,
I think it was all the truck stops out there.
yeah, it was a nightmare. So everybody that got bought contaminated depth, and they just washed their hands of it. But I bet you that was a $30 grand mistake if it even stopped it.
Yeah, that's a $3,000 to $5,000 repair.
Yeah, it's not. But at the end of the day, that's the same thing. We try to stay pretty focused with them. They treat us real good. They treat us across the board. That goes with tires and everything, like tire repair and everything else. That's Lowe's treats us the best out of all of them. I mean, we negotiate every year. We look at it, but they're pretty organized and they keep track of it. The more fuel we buy, the better they treat us.
Yeah, same with us. They treat us pretty good with rewards.
Yeah, they look at that. I mean, you'd be amazed what we spend a year.
Randy, you have anything? Okay. Anybody got any questions for me? All right, thank you.
This is one of our insurance contacts here.
Okay, so for the next 2 or 3 hours, we're gonna talk insurance.
I just told him.
Everyone loves this. So, a couple things. I heard a lot about time and, hey, you gotta get miles, gotta get the product out. I get that. One of the biggest time sucks you can ever have, though, is having an accident. Everything stops, you're waiting for the cop, lawyers, So, I cannot stress enough defensive driving. We work with a lot of truckers, and rear end accidents, just, if you're riding someone's ass and you hit them, it's game over for you. So, slow down, following distance, scanning ahead, being the professionals that you guys are. That's all I'm going to say about that. But, okay, if you get in an accident, God forbid, okay, now what do you do? So, first thing is, do not admit anything. I know, a lot of you guys, oh, I'm sorry, it was my fault. Do not, make sure everyone's okay, call the cops, get the accident scene. Do not admit anything. Even though you want to, and you're feeling bad about it, I get that, just try to keep in your back of your mind, hey, let's get this thing handled. Number 2, now do you guys have video cameras? Okay. Worth 1,000, those things are great, and they've saved a lot of our customers. It's also the rope that's going to hang you if you're guilty, so, but make sure that you save that. We just had one, like 2 days ago. Guy bumped, kisses the bumper of a car in front. We literally had a note from a lawyer within 8 hours of that. And we're just looking at the video now. So that's kind of the other thing I want to say is every trucker has a target on their back. You guys are guilty until you prove yourselves innocent. So, remember this. People see Wolfpack on the side. Well, Wolfpack's got a crap ton of money, right? Bills just writing checks left and right. So, what do? Well, stop. Make sure your videos, you get the downloaded or you got the individual card ones.
No, I can download.
Yeah, okay. Those are great. But then pictures. So, if you get in any kind of wreck, even if you think it's minor, even if you're bumping into some guy's dock or something, pictures are worth 1,000 words. So, take a bunch of pictures. I don't see any Amish drivers here, so everyone has a cell phone, right? Enough of that. You remember the 35 millimeter that everyone used to have on dashboards, and half the time things be burning out.
And you don't accident,
You don't get charged for taking, self do anything. Take, 3 or 4 feet back. We can zoom in on the picture if we really want to see, take 10 feet back. Go around the whole area. Take photos of every different angle. If you can, try to get like the whole layout of, if it's a stop sign thing, go back and take a picture of, kind of the approach to the stop sign. Yeah, we have video, but that's just showing that narrow kind of, aisle out the windshield. Go around. Don't get yourself hit. Don't go playing Frogger out in the middle of a highway or something. But, the more pictures, the better. Believe me. And get them right away. Don't, go back after the fact. What else should you take pictures of? If possible, get a photo of the other driver's license. Get a photo of their license plate. Get a photo of the cop that comes. And what township or whatever, is responding. Pictures, pictures, pictures. I know sometimes you're shaking up, but just try to focus in on it. Okay, got to get the photos. The more the better. Once again, I don't know if any of you guys have ever talked with Rick. He's our claims guy. Hopefully you haven't. Because if you're talking to Rick, it's a bad thing. But, Rick will, hey, what photos do we have? And then we can go from there. But once again, better to stay out of the accident.
If I can chime in there. So I deal with the claims and stuff that we have. Like, taking a picture of the damage like this guy doesn't do. Just back up a little bit, give that distance, take a shot of the damage and stuff, and then get some overall picture. Because like saying, we can zoom in on that stuff. Let me know right away. Obviously, you guys do this. If you're involved in an accident, know right away. I download that video. One of the things he brought up out there, how the world is out there. People looking to scam all the time. Just the other week, got notified by North Carolina State Trooper, said that one of our truck sides swiped this lady. She drove to another county to report it. We were supposed to be on such roads. I went back and pulled all the video of us, and we weren't even on that route. So she had damage done prior, but they tried to throw it on us. People do it. They see our nice trucks out there, the trailers, they try to get us to pay for some damage that you didn't.
Real nice trucks. I mean, it's almost like hey, sue me kind of sign. So, and the system you guys have, I mean, they can trade. And I've talked to you guys are in like a group with a bunch of other truckers, kind of in essence formed your own insurance company. And I've talked to guys. Some guy up in Buffalo was saying, "Oh yeah, this lady sued me, same deal. Said I ran her off the road and everything." Well, they could show with all the telematics that we weren't even near there. So believe me, those video systems, it can save your baby. Once again, if you're guilty, okay, at least we know that too. And keep that in mind. Big Brother is now watching everything. And you got the down, you get in a real bad accident, the cops are going to be downloading everything out of your truck. They're going to tell you when you braked, how fast you were going, all that other stuff too. So enough of the defensive driving. I can't push it enough. So the last thing, and I've been listening and I appreciate you guys. What is the one thing I haven't heard in this whole meeting? It's you guys, the drivers, and taking care of yourselves. I've heard about taking care of the trucks and getting the product there on time. What about you guys? You're probably, I'll say you're the most expensive asset for the getting a good driver and keeping them on the road is important. So, what do? Well, we're going to get little gym shorts and little tank tops, and that's going to be your new uniform. Now, I want to talk a little bit about stretching. I want the Richard Simmons look. I was going to come in a little leotard, but now
you'll be okay, man. It'll be all right.
And I start this out with a joke, but let's be honest. When you say stretching, everyone's thinking Richard Simmons, and okay, everybody. sweating the oldies. So I work with a bunch of contractors too, and over, like the last several years, I go to more and more job sites, and I see everyone, okay, we're going to start stretching. I don't know if you guys ever did anything like in high school or whatever. I played soccer. You didn't play a game before you started stretching. So what you guys are doing is similar to that. Now, I'm pushing 60 years old. I hurt myself sleeping now. So, I'm looking around. I mean, maybe some of the ladies here are getting a little younger. But one, we're not getting any younger. Two, I don't see any 16-year-old Russian gymnasts that are going to be able to do themselves up in pretzel. But that still doesn't mean that we can't at least kind of get ourselves up and running. So this is the part of the meeting that everyone loves. Hopefully everyone has this. These are some simple trucker exercises that I'd like to go through with. And once again, this is not anything, people are doing this now. I know we're all like, it's okay to do. I see more and more people doing it. I'm trying to bust through the stigma. I'm kind of the same way. Stretching, okay. So, if you would, everyone kind of grab one of these.
You let me out.
And I've talked to some of you guys. If you do have, like pre-existing shoulder problems or back problems or something, some of these, this is nothing heavy here, but if you do start feeling pain, okay, check with your doctor, blah, blah, blah. But everyone should be able to do these. I recommend doing these before you start driving, and then as you get out, for, I don't care, lunch, or if you're going to unload somewhere, do them when you get out of the cab. Because what happens? Oh yeah, this is the new Wpt stretching program on the back.
Never perform while operating.
Yeah, well, okay.
I'm out.
You know that whole thing about distracted driving? Yeah, when you start doing this and you're driving down the highway, it's not a good thing. And they shouldn't take too long. And there is, I forget what the name of the movie was. It had Sylvester Stallone, he was an arm wrestler.
Oh,
yeah, and he had that whole apparatus in his cab. It's like, we're not doing that either.
Oh, what you do is like.
Drive down the road.
But what happens as the body stays, you're basically kind of in one position. I know you kind of move the butt cheeks around a little bit and you're using your arms a little, but as the body kind of stays in that position, everything kind of locks up. So stretching is designed to, for lack of a better term, gets the juices going. Our tendons are kind of like, pulleys and cables, and as you're staying in one position, and as you get older, they aren't as juicy, they aren't as lubricated as when we were younger. So when you get out and you start doing stuff, well, guess what? You're kind of pulling on that tendon. It's not slipping, it's fighting you, and that's how rips and tears happen. So, let's go down through. We'll start sitting, and then we're going to all stand up, because this is what everyone loves. Okay, so wrist, and you can, don't pull till it hurts. Come on, guys, come on. Work with me here. It should feel good.
That's what I'm supposed to be doing.
Come on, everyone do it.
Participation there, Charlie. I've watched, I've learned.
You will.
Think of it.
He's sitting in his truck.
I'm an Eagles fan.
Tell you, I'm doing my
I'm still an Eagles. Yeah, just think of it, your pregame. pulling this way, you should be able to feel it in your shoulders. Guys that have shoulder injuries, biggest, other than vehicle accidents, biggest reason that truckers get hurt, and a little thing on 3-point contact. Once again, I don't see any gymnasts here. Maybe I'm wrong, gymnasts. We don't get out of the cab and stick our landing. We don't, jump off and dismount. 3-point contact. If you use 2-point and your foot slips, everything goes onto the shoulder. What do we got in there? We got something called a rotator cuff. Pops out. Hurts like hell, as some of you guys may or may not know.
I know, I got 2 of them right now.
Stretch, get the juices going before you even get out of the cab. That way, if something does lock up, you have a better chance of trying to save your shoulder. Number 5, the guy looks like he's having way too much fun with himself.
I actually do that.
Yeah, number 5, I don't know what that guy's doing.
I do that.
Here, what do you do? Yeah, so you're kind of...
Yeah, I do that. That's just to stretch my back.
Yeah.
Well, we have it here.
And you don't have to do nothing.
So as you're sitting now, and this is what,
You could have made that bigger.
well, I can get these bigger. I'll send them out to you. I mean, we can make little flashcards for you guys too.
Barry, I would like a whole book. I want a whole book of this made up by next week.
Each truck.
Each truck. There you go.
Well, I wanted you to have like a little video you could lead.
Not gonna happen.
But if you look here, and once again, when you're doing these, don't bob. Don't start going like it. Just slow, steady stretch. Like this. You should be able to feel it on your back. Once again, all these things you can do in your seat at your stop. Once again, not while driving. Okay, your stop. Before you get out, just do a couple of these. You should be able to feel it on your shoulders, on your back. Get everything loose. Everyone should be able to do these. Number 9, you understand? Getting the hammies all loose. Anyone here ever pop a hamstring? I did a deal with my daughter when she was like 6. I was like, oh man, I'm pathetic. Well, guess what I do now? Before I hop up on the boat, I'm stretching everything. Stretch the back, stretch the
I can't
hands.
stretch, it hurts too much.
Stretch the shoulders out. Take a look at these. Try them. You have a question, you stretch it.
I'm just stretching.
And it feels good. You think, okay, what does this matter? Well, as you continue to do them, you get a little more range of motion. You kind of get everything moving so that if and when, you move quick or something, you don't pop that tendon, you don't tear that muscle. That's what this whole thing is designed to do. We could get you into yoga, and you can do the downward dog and all that other stuff. These are simple things we can do, in our everyday lives that will help you. And once again, it's not, everyone's doing it. We're all, everyone's doing them now. It works. So, I at least want give you at least that you'll try them. Like I said, fold this in your pocket. I'll send them to you. We can, however you want to do them, give these a try. If you got other ones that you want to do, great. But try to make that part of your daily routine. It doesn't take that long. It'll make you feel better. Like I said, if you start feeling something pop and hurt, okay, don't do that one. Maybe go see the doctor, but it helps.
I think our biggest thing about that, when you're getting in and out of your truck, getting out of your truck. So we've had more knee injuries, broken legs and stuff. Try that 3-point
but really think about it. I mean, I see guys going, face first and, like they're literally like they're gymnasts dismounting off the balance beam or something. We are not gymnasts. I don't see, the little 16-year-old Russian girls here. So the knees go, 3-point, come down. Make sure you have good footing. So, yeah, you're what, 18? Yeah. Okay. Other than, okay, there you go. Yeah, and then go like this. Now,
20 years
I appreciate everything you guys do. After all the fun and everything like this, stick these in your pocket. Next time, tomorrow morning, give her a try. Okay? Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, Neil. Answer the questions on there and we'll go over it as a group.
I got a protest, I didn't study.
I only type
Take them, man, take them. Always need a phone pad at home. When it's free, you take what you can get. Can't guarantee the pens will work, but they're there. Your pen don't work, see maintenance. I said if my pen don't work, I'm going to see maintenance.
It's just a go over.
I got to protest this. I didn't bring my lawyer with me.
You didn't bring your lawyer?
I don't have my glasses either. I can't read them.
Give you a couple minutes, go ahead.
They're out in the Jeep. Says here is one question. If your graphics are coming off your truck, who should you report this to?
Alright, tell me when your cable is
Hold on. Tony Root?
Hold on.
call you to report the situation on the damn upload pictures into Samsara, right? Contact the shop, notify the office, Wolfpack office or the dispatch. Right? And not necessarily in no order, just so it gets done. When delivering to an AIS customer and you have a discrepancy with what the customer received and what was actually on the truck, who should you call about the discrepancy? What was Rick just saying? There you go. Call the branch that the load was pulled out of. When should you call the person about the discrepancy? While you still have the customer, right? Don't leave and then try to fix it. If you're in sleeper berth and you need to move the truck, what mode must you switch to prior to moving? Exactly. Easy. Do not try to stay under the mile per hour because it's not working. As soon as them fucking wheels turn, they're banging us. Alright, what type of paperwork should be uploaded to Samsara after making the delivery to an AIS customer? Old lady. Old lady. That's right. Alright, now to the easy. You got a 50-50 chance on it. If you're not getting unloaded at AIS customer delivery, you should wait at least 2 to 3 hours before contacting anyone about the delay. False. Yeah, false, man. Call right away, we'll get on it. When you use the company credit card, you do not have to upload the receipts to Samsara. False. False, yeah. Are you allowed to buy pizza on the company card?
Yeah.
No. I don't care what your bank card, you will not buy pizza on the credit card.
What about cheeseburgers?
Chili dogs question. Yeah, there you go. Or that sushi, you know, they see this like right?
What about that one beer?
Alright, if you build a trailer to a yard, you should leave the paperwork for that load in the bill box. Yeah, please do that. Sometimes it gets carried away and then we're missing the paperwork and have to track it down. If you pick up a trailer in Berlin, New Jersey and deliver to the den, you should upload the paperwork into Samsara prior to turning in to the warehouse personnel. Please do that. Please do that. It helps us out greatly. When delivering to an AIS customer, you only need to send your departure message through the dispatch email. False. That's right. Any questions on all of them?
I didn't do too bad. The only one I didn't do well. And questionable.
With the mileage and stuff like that, we want to recognize the guys that are out there. You guys are making some huge mileage jumps. These things are calculated to the end of 2020. I realize we're in August of 21. You know, but the following next year we'll recognize where you're at now. So these are calculated up to the year, the end of 2020. So we have some people that are starting to get an extreme amount of miles here working. Yep. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call your name up. Please come up, accept your acknowledgement, shake Bill's hands. We do thank you all for the hard work. I truly mean that. I know I work with you guys every day, and it's just amazing. I appreciate it. First off, we've got Jim Cornhole here. He broke the 250,000 mile mark this year, so thank you very much. So, Elvis Bixler, he broke the 250,000 mile. Dan Smith, 250,000 miles. Yeah. Gary McCreary, $750,000. Okay, the 1 million mile mark, Mike Lane. Eddie Dupler, 1 million. I mean, when you think things, you think about 1 million miles. That's a lot of time. Larry Rainier, 1 million. The champion of all champions. Tommy Keaton is over 2,500,000 miles. We have one special award this year. We're back here. Where's my over here? So one of the struggles we had as we expanded was diversification. So we started out that we were all dry van, and the spray foam products came along, and we had to come up with reefers. So we got we had a couple reefers in the fleet, and probably the one I struggled with the most was flatbeds. So you see flatbed showing up. We have an honorary degree for Dan Smith. Pushing me over the edge. You're finding the best flatbed. I know there's nobody more glad to see that trailer get chopped up and removed from everybody's mind. With every new driver that came, they'd be like, what the hell happened? It was an honorary degree. I mean, it was an honest mistake.
Now you can keep Pete with WP 104 when it comes to,
So, that's true. We would like you there. At least one day a week. This is no lie about that. This was before I even came to work here. I was still a trooper, and me and my wife were driving through, and I just said, hey, I just wanted to bring it. I wasn't up at that facility. I drove up there, and I came around the corner, and there's this trailer all smashed up. I remember I took a picture and I sent it to him. I'm like, what the fuck is this? What's happening? And he was like, get the fuck off my property. True story. They didn't do us any favors, we ended up with the bridge was Bismarck, and then we run through the bridge, but they decided that they'd drag it through the bridge and get it out of there, so, the initial damage was not as severe as what the tow damage was. They drug it the rest of the way through the bridge. So.
I had to be with Bill at the airport when that phone call came through and I was like,
Stay away. Everybody stay away.
In all seriousness, that pretty much wraps us up here. We are going to have a cookout and everything. I truly, my hat's off to you guys. I know that every day brings